What's going on, Sky Squad? We are back in the building on this good Sunday morning. Happy Sunday to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know where you watching from, because you know we're a little nosy and want to see where our people are watching from. I didn't even get a chance to, effectively get the beard together today. A couple of things happening today, just to let you guys know. For those of you guys who may be skipping Sunday Fun Day, maybe in the house today, I will be on MSNBC on the Simone Show at 4 p.m. We'll be doing the regroup, and that segment's around 4:50 in that particular hour. So if you get a chance, catch your boy, me, Jade Mathis, Simone Sanders, chopping it up, hot topics. So tap in. And that's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. That's number one. Number two, y'all know it's the week of the Black Friday. And so we are back in stock with our CMOS capsules and more. Okay. So everything in the store is 40% off. Just visit amirin.com. There's a link in the description of this video. 40% off of everything. And y'all know it's that cold and flu season. So having that CMOS is a nice little touch, okay? Especially as that panorama rolls back around. So go on and get you some CMOS capsules. You can travel with it. You can take it with you. All that good stuff like that. Now, I see we got the DMV in the building. We got Rocky Hill. Okay. I actually don't know who the artist is. I got this from Home Goods. I love a Home Goods. Central Florida. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate that. We got Alabama in the building. MSNBC. Yes, Tiffany. MSNBC. 4 p.m. Well, probably 4:50. That's when you'll see me on there. Northwest Ohio, New York. Good morning, Richie. Good morning to you too. Oakland, Philadelphia. CMOS is great for a couple of reasons. It's really, really good as something to take, especially during like the cold and the flu season. It's really good. And one of the reasons why I started taking it was because I have digestive issues. And this was probably one of the only things that I felt like was all natural that helped me with my digestive issues. So if you have digestive issues, this is really, 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 really good. That's why I started taking it personally. And I started taking it around the time of the panorama as well. And I discovered that it helped me with my digestive issues. So that's one thing that I absolutely love. The website is at the bottom of the screen. It's amirin.com, so you guys can see it right there. Hey, Milwaukee is also in the description of the video as well. Hey, I see y'all. Come on through, Birmingham. I see you. Hey, Atlanta. All right, so let's get started. Let's get into the tea. Let's get into the biz naive. We are here to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville today. We are talking season 5. We're talking episode 11, and it is called Destined for Better. All right. Now, what's going on? Sidebar, did you guys know that the Real Housewives of Durban was on Bravo this past weekend? Hey, Natasha. I did not realize that until Shamar updated me and let me know. And I was like, what? They didn't really do any advertising for that. I think it was episodes 1 through 3. I think maybe of season 1. I'm not sure. But that was actually on Bravo this weekend. So it may still be on the Bravo app. I will go back and check later on to see. Hopefully I'll have some time to watch it. But it's going to be a busy week for me. So I don't know if I'll get a chance to, especially with tomorrow being, Potomac review day and all that kind of stuff like that. And I have a podcast interview to do tomorrow as well, and a dentist appointment. Oh God, a lot. So, okay. Let's get into Huntsville. I want to know for you guys, there have been many people who have been talking about a blackout for Love and Marriage Huntsville after Mark was shown on the show. There have been people talking about boycotting because of Miss Wanda. There have been people who have said that they would prefer that the show return to its roots, which was really more or less about the core, I would say the core six, the comeback group, so to speak. Um, and I want to know what you guys thought. Oh, Philly John says it's on Peacock as well. Thank you guys. So you guys can catch it on Peacock as well. And I have Peacock, so I'm gonna try to check it out then. Um, here's the thing. I want to know, did you guys enjoy last night's episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville? Because last night's episode to me was a bit different. And one of the things that I do like about Huntsville is it never really follows a particular format or a formula. So what I mean by that is typically nowadays when you watch a housewives show, not so much back in the old days, but nowadays when you watch a housewives show, you typically get about 30 minutes of individual scenes, paired off scenes, or three people scenes, and then the last 30 minutes is typically always going to be a group scene in which the ladies are all able to gather around and really do their best work. All right. And so last night's episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, again, it does not follow a particular formula. And we really got back to the roots of this show, which is the love and the marriage and the friendships. So I want to know, did you guys feel better about this episode than you have in episodes past? Just let me know in the chatterization down below. A lot of people are saying it was a good show last night. Tony says, I've just been watching your recaps. Yes, they did order 30 episodes. I did feel like that was quite a bit as well. And let's get into the rating of the episode. I see a lot of people saying, yeah, you enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. And I think what I am coming to understand is there is a space on television for reality TV that is more family focused and story driven. Okay. And so for me, I'm going to give it an 8.5 because I actually did enjoy last night's episode. It was refreshing to see them not necessarily going at it. I don't know. There was something, yeah, it felt light despite what Kimmy was going through. And even how she handled it gave the episode a light feeling to it. And so I did feel like I enjoyed the episode. And I thought to myself, there was very little drama, but it was still very good. And it was something that I did enjoy seeing. And so I think there's something to be said for even in an episode or a series that sometimes goes, I mean, real crazy into the drama, like we saw with the Madani incident. It was also interesting to see the complete opposite of that in this episode. So I just wanted to kind of get that out. Boss Ken, I do feel you and I do understand what you're saying about the fatigue at such a long season. It was not, yeah, we love, everybody loves Kimmy. And so seeing this journey is heartbreaking, but also hopeful because of the way she is handling it and maneuvering through it on the screen. And also seeing the Holtz get along. So I'm seeing that a lot of you guys, yeah. Miss Bless 64 says 9.5 because they felt real like when it first came on. Sheila said it felt more honest than fakeness. And I think that's what we can all agree on, is that this is what we're looking for. This is exactly what we're looking for. We can toss in a little bit of drama here and there, but this to me felt like a show that you could actually sit down and just watch with the family and see Black people and people that look like a lot of us that watch, and people of color in general who just simply enjoy this show. So I'm gonna get into a couple of different topics, and then I'm gonna let you guys enjoy your Sunday. But we start with Tiffany modeling at Canvas Girl Beauty, and I've long said it since her inception that to me Stormy I think is the next new character that I want to see in a full-time capacity because of the building of her business that I just find so fascinating, and her desire to see the women get back together, get on a good foot, and to see also how she's integrating, even Tiffany into the fold with, modeling for her hair, for her hair care business. We see Stormy is wearing a "That's What's Up" t-shirt from the infamous moment here.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And it's a nice little callback. I don't know. It was good. To me, it was good. Melody stops by. She reveals that Destiny invited her to a photo shoot. And then, Tiffany is like, "Well, girl, are y'all friends?" And Melody kind of ignores the question. I mean, I think for Melody, she basically is emphasizing that they can be cordial and they can be cool and they can, have a good time together. But she's not someone that Destiny for her is not someone that she considers to be a friend. And I think that's just it. Then the topic turns to, and I feel like still Stormy and Tiffany are still trying to maybe push for the friendship of it all. And I do feel like for Melody, I wonder if Melody is just in a space of being, how after you've gone through something very traumatic, it changes you. And I can only say this from experience, and I know a lot of you can too. And and I think that for both Melody and Destiny, they've both gone through events, life events that will ultimately change them. And for Melody, I feel like she has gone inward. And I feel like for Destiny, for some people, you reach outward, if that makes any sense. Right. And so maybe for Destiny, it is the reaching out to friends for support and leaning on those friends. And I know, like for me, myself, I feel like going through those periods, I can relate to where Melody is coming from because I went inward after going through traumatic experiences. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's probably where a lot of the conflict really lies, in not necessarily understanding how each person will ultimately end up after going through the traumatic experience. Because to a certain degree, it feels like maybe Melody and Destiny kind of trauma bonded, and I hate to use that terminology because I feel like it is such a deep term, but I feel like there was some bonding that they experienced over the things that they were going through. But that's a journey, and then when you get to that next part of the journey, some people go inward, and that is what it is. And maybe for Destiny, I feel like she didn't realize that Melanie needed to go inward, and maybe Destiny still needed that, or still wanted, and I don't want to say needed, I want to say wanted that same level of sisterhood, camaraderie, and Melody just wasn't in that space. I think that could be it. I don't know. I'm just looking at it from the perspective of things that I've gone through in my own personal life, and maybe you have gone through in your life that have really ultimately changed you. Like for me, I used to be a much more social like person, going out, being at the hot spots and stuff like that. And now I am totally a homebody. Like I want to be in the house, or on a vacation. You know what I'm saying? Relaxing. I don't need to party when I go on vacation. I want to relax. I want to sightsee. I want to be up early. I want to tour. I want to see the sights. I want to do a little shopping. I want to eat good. And that's really it. I'm not that person that when I go and visit or go out of town, I need to go to the parties, or even while I'm here, I'm just not at that space. It's just not who I am. Nothing wrong with anybody that does, but I mean, life events will change you. Tiara says, hey, Richie, watching Kimmy has made me think about the difference in how Kimmy is handling the situation, telling people about cancer, as opposed to how Mia from Real Housewives of Potomac handled her scare. Love you. You know what? I thought about that as well. What I can say from my own experience with that is I think that, and you're right, because it does raise a good point, how two people handle the situation very differently. I felt as though, and because it's such a serious topic, I can't make light of it ever, right? And because I've had in the past 2 years, I've just had to deal with this a, a lot, like in two different. It's just hard, right? But what I will say is, my wonder was, did Mia have a knee jerk reaction and have a moment of panic and think the worst, and then made a post about it just based off of instinct, versus Kimmy, who is older? And when I say older, Kimmy is a more seasoned woman who understands herself, I think, maybe a bit better. If that makes any sense. I'm not saying that Mia doesn't understand herself, but I'm talking about how Kimmy processes situations and manages her way through conflict. I think because Kimmy is responding from a place of wisdom, but also, as she said last night, fear, because she wanted to understand where she was in that journey. Not to mention, Kimmy also has the benefit of medical expertise from being a nurse to understand this is the process that I need to go through, and I need these answers first. Okay. Um, and Kimmy having that background in the medical field, I think, helped inform how she maneuvered through the situation. Um, and you're right, Tiffany. I can tell you again from firsthand, it is confusing. It's in the beginning, it is very confusing for not only the person that's dealing with it, but also for family that wants to support, because you don't have any answers. Kimmy has been, I think, um, she even said it herself. From the time period that they found this out to the time period that she started treatment, it was 2 weeks. In my experience, for the first experience I had, it felt like 2 months went by before we got to that point. And it was just a lot. So it is confusing for people who have never gone through it. Um, and it's confusing for the person who is going through it when you don't know what it is. Um, so there's that. But to bring things back, Melody tells the girls that she's going to Destin and she's going to bring Martell and his mom. And Stormy really kind of wonders, like, is this going to cause any confusion amongst the kids? And Melody's like, no, I've explained to my kids, this doesn't mean that mommy and daddy are getting back together. This just means that we can be in the same space and we can create positive new memories together, because the kids have seen some of the turmoil that they've gone through, and she wants to try to create more positive memories of the family together. And I commend her for that. I commend her for it. Destiny meets with Demi. Interestingly enough, Demi, what I like about this show is also too that when we are introduced to new characters in this group, I feel like we're introduced to people who have ties to the entire group. Um, Demi knows Martell. She went to high school with him. It seems like everybody went to high school with Martell. She apparently did Melody's makeup for her wedding. She knows all of the players in this social circle. So introducing her at this point is an interesting touch. And I think that this is a great way to build out a cast, because you are bringing in people who have natural connections to the group, and it doesn't feel like someone just thrown in. You know what I'm saying? They have, these are natural connections, and that's what you want to see when you watch a reality TV show, at least in my opinion. All right. So Destiny and Demi are doing some type of collaboration because Demi has a makeup line. All right. And we don't really get into the type of collaboration, but what we do get is that they will be having some type of maybe 90s themed party or whatever. So I'm assuming this will be one of the next big all cast events, if not the finale, because we are on episode 11. And I would assume that we have at least 4 more episodes to go. And then we get to the reunion. And I did find that I enjoyed Demi for some reason. She seemed very reasonable, logical, a good sounding board for Destiny, which I felt like she needs. Um, so that was interesting. They talked about the conversation that, Destiny had with Melody, and basically Destiny feels like this. She feels similar to how Melody feels, and that is they can be cordial, they will never be friends again. She feels like Destiny said something that I thought was very interesting. She said she felt like how a person handles you when they are in opposition with you really shows you how you can either move forward with them or not move forward with them. And I would wager to say that also extends to relationships. When you are in a relationship with someone, and that whether that's a friendship or whether that is a courtship, whether that's a marriage, whether that's just y'all just situational, you have to watch how people handle you when they are angry with you. Okay? And that's I think that's a life thing. That is a life lesson. Watch how people maneuver when y'all are upset. Great. I think that's a great thing to leave that conversation with. Um because like I said, if for me, and I've said this before, if you yell at me or if you curse at me, I cannot deal with you. Okay? If you yell at me when if we're in an argument, or if you curse at me while we're in an argument, I can't mess with you no more. I can't fool with you no more. I don't care. I don't care what kind of relationship it is. I will not be yelled at and I will not be cursed at. Why? Because I'm not yelling and I'm not cursing. Period. I can have an argument with you and I can use this exact same tone. It ain't changing. All right. And I'm gonna stay on topic. I ain't veering off topic. I'm gonna talk about exactly what we're talking about, and that's it on period. So for me, I'm not arguing to win. I am arguing to resolve. There's a difference. And you have to watch out for people who are arguing to win. Slight little sidetrack, but I feel like that's a life lesson. Um all right, so Melody is preparing for Destin. She's with her mom and they're recapping. And I won't go too much into this section because I kind of feel like we can kind of summarize it just a bit. As Melody's preparing for Destin with her mom, they kind of talk about, the idea that Martell is bringing his mom, and Miss Van has not had a Ponderosa with Miss Marlene, and she feels like that needs to happen. And as Melody does recap her Ponderosa with Miss Marlene, which I thought was hilarious. Okay. And I love that they showed that flashback. And then Martell is with his mom, and they're packing, he's very hopeful about how things will go in this trip. And I cannot tell if Martell wants in some way, shape, or form to reconcile with Melody. Did you guys get that impression? Like, even though there was no major outward spoken word of I want to be back together with her, it does feel to me a little like there is a slight bit of hope of some rekindling the relationship. Um Yes, I did notice that the room was and let me say this, I'm not saying this to be shady. I'm only saying it because I did notice that. I notice when I'm watching when I'm watching any show, and I probably should stop doing this, but I cannot help it. It is the observer in me. It's the slight Inspector Gadget in me. It is the slight JB Fletcher in me to look about the room to see what is going on. I would show you guys some of my studio if I could move my computer. I mean, you can see there's things there. It's lived in. You know what I'm saying? It's stuff in the room, right? This is a space. This is a space where I dwell. So when I do look at a room and the room looks empty AF, I'm thinking one of two things. One, maybe he's in a guest room. Okay. Maybe he's filming in a guest room in his home. Okay. And doesn't want people in his private space of the bedroom. That could be it. Maybe the place is still new and he hasn't had time to decorate. I don't know. Okay. But I did look at that and I did wonder. Okay. I did have to wonder. Queen's Jaja says we all do it. Okay. So it's not just me. It's not just me. It's not just me. All right. Jewel says, I thought he was in his mom's home. I mean, maybe. That's the point, Empress. It didn't look lived in. And when I'm in a scene and I'm in somebody's house, I want it to look lived in. Otherwise, my mind, it don't match. Okay. Otherwise, this is how our brains are wired. When it's something don't look real, we stop believing it. It becomes incongruent to the scene, right? So if he's in a scene and he's packing with his mom and the room is empty, there's an incongruency there. So in the future, production, stage the room a little bit. Put some knickknacks up somewhere. You know what I'm saying? A bottle of water, a photograph. Throw some books on the nightstand. You know what I'm saying? A phone charger. You know what I'm saying? I mean something. A hand. Whatever you got, just throw something in there to give me the impression that there is something else that you actually live in this place because otherwise I got questions. I got questions. All right. Meanwhile, we check in with Kimmy. Kimmy has 16 treatments of chemo in 20 weeks, we learn. And this is, I guess she just went through treatment number 1. And then she will have surgery and then radiation. They tested to make sure it wasn't anywhere else in her body, and thank God it was not. They did genetics testing to make sure it wasn't a predisposition, and it was not. And it hasn't spread according to the PET scan, excuse me. Now, the doctor also says there was no positive about having a triple negative diagnosis, which it sounds dire, and I'm not sure what the ultimate meaning for her is. But what I do know is that she was appreciative of his candor. And also, I think being a nurse and working in the field, it's probably more appreciated that she get the real on those answers and on the diagnosis. We learned that it's only been 2 weeks since she's gotten the diagnosis to treatment, which, as I stated earlier, is not always the case. In some instances, it could be a lot longer. Okay. So and that's from my own experience with my own family member. Both times it was longer in terms of what it was. Hey, Brooklyn, fine. I'm gonna catch you later. Okay. All right. You have a blessed day. All right. Now, anyway, Kimmy and Maurice arrived back at the house. All right. And they end up telling, her family, what's going on. We learn that Jaden's having a hard time with it. We also learn that this affects African American women more than others. She's worried about Maurice because she feels like he's a fixer and this isn't something that he can fix. And she hasn't told that many people. And the interesting thing is that, now that she's had the PET scan, she realizes that she can now tell people about it because she has some firm answers. She has a firm plan of action. And I think that's a better time to tell people once you kind of know what's going on and you're on the path to doing something about it. And it also says something to me about Kimmy, that she's worried about Maurice, even, and she's worried about Jalen, even as she is the one who is going through all this situation. I absolutely just think it just speaks volumes to who Kimmy is and who we've always believed her to be. And it always, I gotta say this, I think about just recently, and I've told you guys about, losing one of my best friends just a few weeks ago. I haven't even been able to make the post that I wanted to make, in her memory on Instagram. But I think to myself, my friend Stephanie was such a light. And so you think about people like Kimmy, who we've seen be such a light on this show, and you always wonder, why is it that this person or this type of person has to experience something like this? And it just seems so unfair. It seems so unfair. Um, it seems so unfair. It seems so unfair. Um, anyway, down in the Destin, we're gonna move on to that. Melody arrives at the house, followed by Martell and Miss Marlene. You know, Martell has brought her favorite snacks, even though it's not the right version. He was thinking about her. Melody is trying to order some food that Martell likes, and the order is wrong. And so it's a little cute thing going on here between the two of them, trying to make sure that each other is pleased with the food arrangements, which I thought was cute. I can't help it. When I see them together like that, and I know they ain't getting back together like that, and I know it ain't gonna be nothing, but I can't help but feel a little something, something. It's still some chemistry up in that thing, okay? And it's a little undeniable. And Martell even feels that old chemistry there and says it seems like back in the day, and he loved it. You know what I'm saying? He loved that. And so again, but I do think it is all in the spirit for Melody of keeping things and the energy positive. And they even have a separate conversation about this whole situation, and she is trying to tell him, like, okay, well, listen, I'm gonna put you on one floor with your mom, and me and my mom are gonna be down here on the floor with the kids because that's where the bunk beds are. And Martell is like, well, why can't I be on the floor with the kids? And she's like, listen, I'm trying to make the best of the situation or whatever. So they go into her room and they have a little ponderosa while Miss Marlene is with the kids, and they talk about how to make this a positive experience. And she has to remind him, like, listen, sometimes you can be out of pocket, and that's how things end up going left. But he vows to be on his best behavior, and then she is trying to usher him up out of her room. Now, what I noticed was ain't no locks on them doors. At least I ain't see no locks. Did y'all see some locks on them doors? Okay. So Melody, you might have to put a chair up under that door so you can keep the man out and from trying to creep on up in there in the middle of the night. Because the way he was looking, I'm just saying, the way he was looking made me feel like he was looking for something, or might be looking for something late in the midnight hour when everybody's sleeping. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know now. Okay. And they look good together. So that's, but the man is with Sheree. The man is with Sheree. So, next week we learned that the Scots is heading down to Destin too. Wonder how that's gonna go. All right. So we'll just have to wait and see. We just gonna have to wait and see. Listen, thank y'all for tuning in and tapping in, being turned on to this episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. We're gonna continue to support the show as we wrap up the season, as we're getting closer to the finale. We've got about, I guess, probably what, 4 more episodes to go. Before we get to that reunion, which I'm hearing is going to be spicy. And then we got Love and Marriage DC to look forward to in January. Yes. Did y'all see that promo for Love and Marriage DC coming back in the January? That is going to be good. Make sure you guys tap on that like button. I appreciate that, Monica. Thank you so much. Tap the like button. Also, make sure you guys, like I said, visit amirin.com. You guys can see the website right here. Get our CMOS capsules, our African mango drops. You can also get your we have also an anxiety formula as well for those of you guys who suffer from anxiety, something that'll keep you a little relaxed and calm and all that good stuff like that. So everything is 40% off. Just use the code Black Friday or tap the link in the description of this video and it'll get you the code right there immediately. Now, with that being said, y'all know I love y'all. Happy Sunday. If you get a chance, tune in, tap in, and turn on MSNBC at 4 p.m. for the Simone Show. Me and Jay Mathis will be visiting with Simone at 4:50 for the regroup to talk hot topics. And with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next video.